So now that I've finished weaving the length of sash that I want, it's time to finish the belt. There's lots of different ways to finish the sashes or whatever project you're doing, and that varies widely between cultures and tribes. So I've seen where people will take and twist a few strands together and make a lot of little twists to get kind of a fringe. I've also seen where they've taken small sections and put lots of small braids, the same way to give the effect of a fringe. I've seen some that will braid 3 or 4 bigger sections and then maybe have a twist on it, on each side. So it really just depends on your tribe and your culture. So don't be afraid to look around and see what those, what's used in your situation. What I'm going to show you today is what the Chickasaw traditionally do. And we will have 2 long braids at the end going from the waist to the knee, and then at the end of that braid, each of the 2 braids on each side will be tassels. And the reason for that is, as we stomp dance, the braids and will swing, and those tassels will stir the air and help feed the fire as we dance. So that is the traditional Chickasaw finish for a woven sash. So let me show you how we do that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my strands into 2 equal parts. I usually don't, I just kind of weave it in, but if you want to tie this last weft on the edge to the one above it, you can tie that off just to kind of help keep that weft from drooping and getting bigger. And so you can just kind of tie that in a knot there, and that'll keep that. And then we're going to divide it in half. So I have 2 equal braids. So, all right. And then each half, I'm going to divide into 4 equal sections. So 4 and 4. And let's get those. Okay, so I have those divided, sorta. Okay. Sometimes kind of hard to get. Let me do this so I can get them to stay where they're in half. So. All right. So, whoops. I did 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 8. Okay, so I have mine in 4 separate sections, and I'm going to just do a 4 braid, 4 strand braid. So to do the 4 strand braid, what you're going to do is you're going to take one at the outside. I usually start on the right because I'm right-handed. But I'm going to take this outside and wrap it around behind 2 of the sections, and then back around in front of 1 section. So then I'm going to wrap from the other side behind 2, and then back over 1. And then I'm going to go back to the right side, and it's going to go behind 2 of the strands and back around 1 strand. And go back to the left and wrap around 2 strands and in front of 1 strand. So you're just going to alternate from the left and the right, going behind 2, over 1. And then behind 2, over 1. and then behind 2 and over 1. And so you're just going to do that all the way down, however long you want. I usually do, if I don't know exactly what the length is, I'll usually do about 15 inches to give it a nice long braid. So just as I go down behind 2 and over 1, all the way down until I get about 15 inches. Pull this up where I see what we're doing. Okay. I'm going to just kind of eyeball that. It's not quite 15, but it's pretty close. So when I get to where I want to stop, I'll just take 2 of each strand together and then just knot it. And that holds the braid in place. Sometimes that's easier if you have a second person. They can like kind of hold it up for you, and then you can knot it. Okay, so I'm just going to knot that once. All right. So then when I get to the knot, usually I'll go ahead and do all 4 braids, 2 on each side, and then I'm going to make the tassel. So to make the tassel, you can either do you can do your tassels in whatever colors you want, whether you want to combine and have mixed strands in there, so you'd have all 4 colors in each of the tassels, or you can pick 2 of the colors and have 1 on each, like yellow and brown. I'd have a yellow and a brown on each side. I could do all 1 color, all yellow. It's just however you want to do it on the colors. Since there's 4 colors in this sash, I'll probably do like 1 tassel in each color. So let's do, I've got the yellow right here, so I'll just do a yellow one first. So to make the tassel, I take the yarn and I hold it over my thumb and I wrap it around my elbow and then back up around my thumb, and that makes a loop. And I'll do usually depending on how fat or how big I want my tassel. I usually do anywhere from, and how big my yarn is makes a difference. I'll do around 30-ish wraps with this worsted weight yarn. If I'm using a chunky yarn, I won't do as many, maybe 20 or something. But so anyway, 30 to 40, just depends on how full you want that tassel to be. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so I've got 30 wraps of round from my arm to my elbow. And so I'll take that off. And what I want to do is find the center. And then I also want to cut, I kind of find my center. Then I want to cut my strands so that they're not looped, but they're straight down. So grab the scissors here. So, oops, I missed a couple. Get those. Okay, so they're all cut. And then what I'm going to do is I've got my center. I'm going to put it up in the braid, and I'm going to just angle or just center the center of these over that knot, place it on top of that knot that I made. And so when I kind of hang it down, they're fairly even. And then I just tie a double knot here with this yarn. Again, this part is a lot easier sometimes if you have somebody who can hold the braid and tassel for you than trying to do it by yourself. It's where I usually rope my husband into helping. Okay, so I tie that pretty tight as I can get it. And there's different ways people do these pom-poms. Some of them to me are prettier than mine, but I do mine this way. I've done them several different ways through the years, and this is the only way I've found that my kids have not been able to take a pom-pom off the first time they wore their sash. So this is a really secure way of doing your pom-pom, and it's not going to come off. So again, you might see or hear someone else's a different way to do it, and that's personal preference or how they've learned it. So I try and kind of, once I've got it tied on good and tight, I try and kind of spread it out around the top so you cover as much of the where it's tied to the braid at. And then I'll get another small piece of that color yarn, and we're gonna tie it right below the knot that you tied. So just kind of, again, that's where a second person really helps. And I try and tie as tight as I can. It's gonna slip looser when I go to tie it, especially if you're doing it by yourself. But tie that just as tight as you can get it tied. And then, so you've got your pom-pom. So then I just get, it's time to kind of, you want to even that up. So I just kind of hold it in my hand and kind of like giving it a haircut. Let's just cut that all off. Even that up as best as you can. If you don't want to see the other colors from the braid, you can always come in under here and trim those shorter. Maybe like that. And then they don't really show, but they still help give you that fullness that you want. And so even doing my hand sometimes, it's not exactly, I'm not a good pom-pom cutter, so you might have a better way to even that up. But just kind of eyeball it and cut it. Kind of trim that up where it's fairly even. And then you have a completed braid and tassel. So you're going to do that again for the other three braids. Okay, and here is the completed diagonal sash and the tassels.